Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your no shit gaming news video. That's 3 news stories in one video with zero faff. Call of Duty is still a juggernaut of a franchise, and this year will probably be no different. With no official word yet on the 2021 entry to the franchise, some sources are claiming that the new title will be a World War II themed shooter, tentatively named Call of Duty Vanguard. I'm really glad Activision is being bold and trying something brand new with World War II. We really haven't seen enough of that little known time period. This news comes first from the COD news site Modern Warzone, which cites its own sources, and other outlets have then corroborated its credibility. Generally, COD games launch in October-November time to capitalize on Christmas sales, so expect this title to drop around the same time, though of course there is no official release date since this is just leaks at this point. This entry is in development by Sledgehammer Games, which hasn't shipped a full Call of Duty since 2017's COD, which was also set in World War II, though it has supported development on Modern Warfare and Black Ops Cold War. Modern Warzone points out that the World War II setting conflicts with some other credible information about the next COD, leading them to believe that this may be more than just a historical romp. Prior leaks suggested that the next game will be set during the 1950s, with Modern Warzone speculating that this means that this title will deviate somewhat from real history and continue past 1945 when the war ended. But obviously, leaks should always be approached with caution, and this sort of speculation could very easily be complete bunk. A more reasonable but perhaps less interesting explanation of the mix of timelines is that the game will be told through flashbacks of a veteran sometime after the war ended, not unlike the excellent Band of Brothers TV show, though I would never expect anything remotely close to that quality to come out of a Call of Duty game. The prior theory with the 1950s was that it would focus on the Korean War, which stretched from 1950 to 1953 and is an area that COD hasn't touched yet, so it could be much more unique. Though let's just remember that this is Call of Duty we're talking about, so whatever route they take, it will be the most sanitized and least interesting way they could possibly tell the story. World War II is a much easier sell to mass audiences since everyone is familiar with it due to oversaturation, but it's for that exact reason why changing it up is much more interesting to me. Whether that's in an alternate history a la the recent Wolfenstein games or Man in High Castle, or a brand new setting the franchise hasn't explored yet in Korea. The series' Battle Royale mode Warzone began in 2020 and was built upon by last year's Black Ops Cold War, and it's expected to be added to with this new game. If this assumption is true, it will mean a whole suite of new weapons from a specific time period, be that the Second World War or the 1950s, will be added to the existing Warzone arsenal in addition to a new map. Moving forward, it seems like Warzone is Activision's main focus, as in February, Chief Financial Officer Dennis Durkin said, "We will benefit from a full year of Warzone driving upgrades to our premium content and incremental in-game player investment, and we have a substantial opportunity to continue migrating the community to Black Ops Cold War, as well as another strong premium release planned for Q4 in 2021. He also pointed out that 2021's COD game likely won't sell as many copies as Black Ops Cold War, saying, "In our outlook, we are conservatively assuming Call of Duty premium units are lower year over year." It makes sense that Activision would push Warzone harder than its mainline games because it's free to play, meaning that anyone can jump in at any time, and therefore there are more potential customers for microtransactions, which is always the real goal here. I wouldn't be surprised if they started considering the premium games to be just marketing tools for Warzone and vice versa, just like how Transformers were toys first and then made into a TV show to advertise to kids. The end game is to get players into Warzone via the mainline games with a few microtransactions and battle passes along the way, so that they can get locked into the Battle Royale ecosystem and continually spend money. I'm still waiting for the Saving Private Ryan of video games, and while some franchises have come close, none have ever really scratched that itch in the same way. A World War II themed FPS should be the perfect canvas for such a story, but we all know the folks at the top of Activision are incapable of doing anything with any substance unless it's a substance found in your wallet. And next up, while Hollywood has plenty of experience adapting World War II, it has much less when it comes to adapting other historical time periods around the world. However, the film industry in Japan boomed in the 40s, 50s, and 60s with visionary figures like Akira Kurosawa inventing the samurai genre as we know it today. Those films influenced Sucker Punch's excellent Ghost of Tsushima, and the game has been so popular that Sony has seen fit to greenlight a movie adaptation less than a year on from its release. According to Deadline, Chad Stahelski will be taking on directing duties using his production company 8711 Entertainment. Alex Young and Jason Spitz will serve as producers from 8711 Entertainment, while Assad Kizilbash and Carter Swan will represent Sony PlayStation Productions. Kizilbash, who is head of Sony PlayStation Productions, said, "We're excited to be partnering with Chad and 8711 Entertainment to bring their vision of Jin's story to the big screen. We love working with creative partners like Chad who have a passion for our games, ensuring we can create rich adaptations that will excite our fans and new audiences." As a director, Stahelski has only worked on the John Wick films up to this point, but he has been in the film industry for years as a stunt performer. He has been a stunt artist and coordinator since the 90s and has worked on big action movies like The Matrix, The Crow, 300, V for Vendetta, I Am Legend, and The Expendables, but clearly his most important role to date that will help him most in this position is the Mr. Bean movie. The guy clearly has a lot of experience, which is what makes the action in John Wick so visceral and real. I've still not seen part 3 yet, but the first one is one of the best action movies of all time by stripping it down to the most essential elements and perfecting the hell out of them. Getting a stunt-focused director like Stahelski should mean that all the action and fight scenes are top-notch, but the heart of the story still needs to be there. John Wick got by having a very minimal story, and that worked to its benefit, mythologizing John Wick himself and adding a huge amount of mystery to the world. But with Ghost of Tsushima, it's a much more narrative-driven experience and therefore harder to get right, so we'll have to wait and see who's writing the script to start having any ideas. On top of narrative and action, one of the game's biggest strengths is its breathtaking sense of style and visual storytelling. Again, John Wick may have a very simple story, but on a visual level, nothing looks quite like those movies, so Stahelski clearly has an eye for style, which can hopefully be translated into Ghost of Tsushima. There are always huge question marks over Hollywood adaptations of Eastern IPs, but since Ghost of Tsushima was actually built by a Western team, maybe those cultural differences are lessened. Since this is the first announcement of this project, we know absolutely nothing else about it beyond the director and a few producers. No word on release date or casting, but the obvious choice is to get Daisuke Tsuji in the leading role since he did the voice and face of Jin Sakai in the game. His performance was criticized for being wooden by some reviewers, but I totally disagree. He's a samurai. They're all about being serious and stoic all the damn time, which makes moments where he does break down even more powerful. But then again, maybe someone totally different would be a better choice so the film can be completely its own thing instead of just aping the game. It's far too soon to have any real opinions on any of this yet, but as it stands, I expect the action sequences to be pretty damn solid, though I have my usual doubts about adapting games to film. The film industry has an awful batting average when it comes to live action remakes of games, but the trend hasn't been too terrible recently, so maybe we're starting to turn a corner. At this point, I'm not excited or worried because I don't really know enough, but I'm interested to see who else is involved. And finally, Monster Hunter Rise launched last week and unsurprisingly topped the charts, selling a very impressive 4 million units within its opening weekend. That's a huge number, especially for a Switch exclusive, and the franchise's biggest entry, Monster Hunter World, sold just 1 million more within its first 3 days, and it launched on both PS4 and Xbox One. Monster Hunter World is Capcom's highest selling game of all time, having shifted 16.8 million units as of the end of 2020, so no doubt Rise has seen a huge boost from that. Elsewhere in the charts, Super Mario 3D All-Stars pulled in at second place after an enormous 276 rise in week-on-week sales. This is due to the game no longer being sold at the end of March, which is just days away, and if you ask me is total bullshit, but I've already moaned about that at length. Nevertheless, it's been a massive week for the Switch, and Nintendo has the charts in a chokehold. Despite being dethroned down to third, Animal Crossing still saw an 11% sales increase, and Super Mario 3D World got a 1% bump. The top 4 are all Switch exclusives, number 6 is specifically the Switch version of Minecraft, then 7, 9 and 10 are also exclusives. The only multi-platform entries are Minecraft Dungeons and FIFA 21, both of which can be played on the Switch, though FIFA 21 is actually FIFA 20, which was the same as FIFA 19. I don't mean that as an underhand slight against EA and their lack of creativity, I mean it's literally the same game. It's worth noting that this is only physical sales and only in the UK, but nonetheless Nintendo's dominance cannot be understated. Literally every single game in the charts is playable on Switch. So, any news about that Switch Pro, Nintendo? We all know it's out there. And that's it for today. If you enjoyed this no shit format, go ahead and give the video a like to give it a boost. Hit subscribe and the bell if you want to stay up to date on all future installments. Toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. That's all for today. I've been Henry Cooper. Bye for now.